Hello and welcome to Love and Your Karma. This video is going to go through 5 definitions of love according to the Vedic texts. We're also then going to delve deeply into what are those various types of love, talking a little bit about what are soul contracts, who is this soul tribe, and then we will give some information if you wish to learn more about it and delve into our workshop that we offer. Please like and subscribe to the channel, and let's get started. So we're going to go over first of all, the 5 elements of what a love is according to the Vedic knowledge, the wisdom. We're going to talk about what karma is, and then talk about how we intertwine these on a very light, in a light way for the 20 minutes that we have. We will have then an opportunity of those who are interested to be able to participate in an inaugural workshop we're going to do at the end of February, which is Love and Your Karma, and we're going to go into more details in regards to that. So karma, often people get a little confused with what karma means. K-A-R-M-A. Karma translates as the word action. It comes from Kriya, action. So when they say that there is an action, there's always an equal and opposite reaction, right? So when someone says, oh, I have bad karma, in the philosophy or the world view from the Vedic perspective, there is no good and bad. There simply is as a result of actions. We take out the personality, oh, there's something wrong, or as we call it, the small self. Others call that the ego. So I always like to think of karma as, Newton's third law. It took a while for science to come up with that proven from thousands of years of Vedic texts, but Newton's third law is for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. Right. So when we have the idea of karma for us in the Vedic worldview, it means that there's something from before that's come through. So we will often say, oh, I say something and it comes right back at me. That's the idea of karma. There was an action that you took, and now an equal and opposite reaction comes back. The word love in the text for the Vedic knowledge is not as it's not as confusing as it is for us who just have one word, love. And this is where I think we get tripped up quite a lot. And there are many uses and many specific words in Sanskrit, but basically there are 5 types. The one type that we all know about is kama, K-A-M-A, not karma. Okay, and that you might know from the word Kama Sutra. Okay, so karma there, that's the word for lust. That's the physical movement of lust. Those are those positions in the Kama Sutra. That's what that aspect of love is. The next one is Sringara, which is the romance. That's considered when there is a romantic let me say, how do I say, entwinement. There is music, there is play, there is poetry, there is a sense of fun, right? There is an emotional connection that becomes involved. Less so when we're talking about karma, right? That's the physical actions that occur, right? Then we have a maitri, which has several connotations with how it's used, but this is love towards all things. This is smiling at a little baby as they go by in their push car, with their mom. This is a smiling at a dog that, does a cute face to you while you're walking by them. This is a simple act of kindness, or it's very close to what we call the matru prema, which is the motherly love. And it's very close to the word kindness as well. And I like to use this quote that Gandhi has said, the simplest acts of kindness are far more powerful than 1,000 heads bowing in prayer. And this is where this element comes in, this maitri, this kindness for the small things that we do in life. Maybe, letting someone go in front of you rather than, cutting you off in traffic, little things. And this is a very nourishing form of love for one's self by taking that action. There is also what's called bhakti love, and that there's a whole form of bhakti yoga And that's devotional love. That's those who dedicate their lives to God in some way, or those that are yogis going into particular spiritual practice. That is devotion to the guru. That's a form of love towards that particular individual. And when we meditate regularly, we actually are starting to develop all of these on different levels. But the main area we're dealing with is the Atma Prema. Atma is the self, right? And so Atma Prema is self-love, right? And this is the cycle of everything that goes. This is when we meditate and we take that moment, no matter what technique you do, we start to have a realization there is something beyond my body. There is something beyond my thoughts. When we have that experience that we are no longer our thoughts are majoritively stress that's being processed through, stress through what we have to do, what we haven't do, and they are mainly brought about by cultural conditioning, social conditioning. Some of them are brought by health, but it's a lot of ideas that we have about ourselves in order to function in the world and survive, basically not to get outcast, right? That's the idea of it. But there is more to us than this, right? So when we get really quiet and we can feel that deep connection within, or something that gives us calm, that feeling is not dependent upon the lust. It's not dependent upon romance. It's not dependent upon gentle love towards children or devotion to the guru. This is where there is this inner self-love. And with meditation, we have a practice that we connect to this more regularly. And as a result of that, we take things less personally. We're also less at the effect of needing validation from outside entities. And the challenge of this knowledge has been when someone gets to a point where they're at this place of, let's say, enlightenment, a form of enlightening as someone, there is no desire to go and spread it around, because the ego realizes that one is transcendent beyond this body. One is eternal. So there's no rush to do it at all, which is almost a shame, because that's what we need to be telling everyone to do, really, about there's more than all this outside stimulus for us. There's an inward practice that we can all do. And depending on how you do your practice, with what works for you, we'll have varying experiences, but they all come down to the same final goal, actually, which is this self-love, this attention upon the higher self. And are we good in this particular moment, right? And this is beyond the self-talk, right? The self-talk of, I'm okay if I do this. Breathing helps get the system from the fight or flight to the relaxation state. But if there isn't this inward connection when we take that breath, all we're doing is waiting for the next inhalation to start the mind to just go off again, right? So there's a part where is that space. I call it the space, or being neutral. When we're in neutral, we can have a desire for an outcome, but we're actually not attached to it because we're in neutral. And that's also referred to, many people say, oh, just let it go, let it go. It's again the same idea, but when we practice regularly doing meditation, we're having an experience of going in. And when we have that experience and it's touched the first time, it's there, it's acknowledged in our consciousness, it is ignited, and often it craves more. People start meditation and they love it, and then they sort of drop off and get busy with life. And then, why did I stop doing that? It's this push and pull, because it is this world clamoring for our attention, a million emails every day, a million crazy things happening every day, some of them manufactured just to keep us spinning, to stop us really from going in and having this experience, which can be done very quickly. When I teach the meditation that most of you have done, you experience that straight away sitting there. There was something that happened that, whoa, I really feel relaxed. People say their shoulders go down, or people's stomachs have stopped being so tense. That's not only a physiological reaction, but that's a reaction. The mind has gone in somewhere that it's not trying to do. It's more connecting to a human being that we are. So how does this then relate to this idea of of karma with it, action and reaction. So if we are eternal and the body isn't, logically, it's going to tell us that we were around or we've had experiences not in this particular form. And we've all probably had experiences where we've met someone and for some reason we just get on great. It's like we just get on great and that's it. And they may seem like rare occasions, but those are actually where we've met that person before, we've had an experience with them before, and we're picking up where we were from before as we got on well with each other. Now, there's also people who don't get on well with each other, and there's a knowing inside, oh, this person, I cannot let go of them. Why do they bug me so? Right now, we can get to a point in our life where there's enough self-analysis that we understand patterns within ourselves. But certain people lock that pattern in somewhere that no matter what, you cannot break that. And this is where we're talking about coming in from the Vedic perspective is everything is divinely orchestrated. We are here to upgrade something very important, which is our consciousness. We are here to amend that from before where we were maybe detrimental. We were not doing anything of a higher grade for consciousness. So let's say, for example, you were a horrible individual and you cheated on lots of, I don't know, husbands and wives. Maybe you had both. And now these people are coming back into your life. And for whatever reason, you know, you are always helping out people you date. You don't know why, but you end up helping them out. You've done enough work on yourself. You're not quite sure why this is happening, but this is recurring. So this would be what we would call a love karma situation. We're coming in to balance out. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction karmically. So here we are connected to an individual and we're balancing out that from before. The challenge is we have within this lovely, as we call it Maya, which means illusion, this play as it is that we're in, we have our free will. And so does everybody else. So although we may have had these connections that we are destined to meet with other people, when we do meet them, sometimes that individual is not ready to fulfill their end of the agreement. And this is where we have this beauty of free will to take action or not. However, we feel that, well, hang on, but there's this thing we've got to, why aren't you? Oh my gosh, come on. These are very raw in what we call the core karmic cycles. That would be parents, that would be siblings, that might be people who we have long-term romantic relationships with, or bosses, right? These are ones that can really get us, why am I in this so-called karmic cycle? And the first step is understanding that there is only so much one can do, right? Because there are two people who are coming together, part of this karmic cycle, to up-level their consciousness. Are you going to be the one that fulfills your part? Because you don't need them to actually fulfill it for you. They are there as a conduit for you to upgrade your consciousness. Now, hang on, you might say, if I keep meeting people who need help and I don't help them, then how am I not fulfilling that? So let's not get our heads in a complete kabubble. That's not a word. I was trying to find a better word and I could not. So that's what came out of my mouth. That's it. What happens is there may be the time where we help people, but we're learning also to help ourselves by being in alignment with consciousness and our core. So the best gift we give is helping other people help themselves. Are they meditating? Are they doing something to help them? And then if we are fulfilling that part of the karmic cycle and we are balancing everything out, it's not as stressful because we realize it's not personal. We're doing this for this person and now we're not going to do it. And then maybe we are going to do it again. It's all part of it. When we have that connection to our inner knowing of who we are, we get less at the effect of the tension of these cycles because it doesn't matter anyway. It doesn't matter. Now, the challenge is love karma cycles and money karma cycles are very, very close to what we call source contracts. Source contracts, God contracts, soul contracts with divine element, whatever you wish to call it. If you call it Buddha, Allah, Jesus, it's all the same entity, but it just translates, these teachers translate better to different individuals of your contract with that divine higher self of what you're doing here. Everyone has one element of the contract that's the same, and that is to upgrade your consciousness. This is it. If everybody was doing this from a young age, we will not be in the same kind of higgledy-piggledy that we're in. But you will see as we are entering, some of us now believe we're in the age of Aquarius, although in Western astrology, it's going to go back to Capricorn just around the election time. So then we're going to see that's going to be interesting again this year. But we're all sort of over it because we've had a few horrendous 8 years and whatever at this point, right? Which is also what kind of comes with that enlightened consciousness as well, is there's a little bit more irreverence about things. Things don't bother you as much because it's all cycling, it's all coming again. And this comes with us with wisdom, right? With age here. But that's because we're not really taught it at a young age of how to tap into that wisdom. So when there are money cycles, one can be happy without money. One can have all the money in the world and be miserable. If all the money, if all the prestige was the element that fixed us and made us happy, we would not have Oscar winners in loony bins. We would not have people losing their minds who then become world leaders. They would be very balanced. But this is not what we're witnessing, right? Whatever country, time and time and time again, one can be happy and understand that they're in a certain financial source for a reason. Right? Individuals, if they want to look at their own, the difference with Vedic astrology and Western astrology is Vedic astrology is attached to your karma. Right? The way those planets are aligned will show with the trained individual how your karma is aligned. But those who are very trained in astrology, there are several charts, and there's an idea of where you're ultimately wanting to go because there is free will within this. So how do we start to break what we call these love karma cycles that can be hindering us? Well, first of all, those who are meditating, you're one step into it already because naturally you're less attached to these, right? The second element is start to look at the patterns that are happening and how you respond to that pattern, right? Are you responding to the pattern the same way, or is it different with different individuals? And this is where we have the gift of discernment. Discernment comes, I'm going to sound like a broken record here, but through a practice of meditation, a practice of going in and listening, right? Sometimes we get in our head about it, but when we listen and we connect inwards, we're able to start to discern, is that them or is it me? How do you know? You take an action and then you see what happens as a result of this action. And when we start to break these unhealthy karmic cycles, we then upgrade our consciousness. And when we upgrade our consciousness, these karmic cycles don't need to come in because they've started to get completed. Now, there are ways to actually accelerate this, and that's what I'm going to be doing, and I'll be sending out more information on it with some exercises, and it's going to take place on Saturday, the 24th of February in the afternoon for a 2-hour Zoom workshop where we're going to go into a little bit more details about these karmic cycles. We'll start to, if we want, use some astrology of different people as well, but we're going to go through how specifically you've noticed you are attached to certain people in these karmic cycles. And we start with the core family element. And then I'm going to give a specific technique and we're going to go through that and then be able to blast out and see what happens as a result of this practice. And if you meditate already or have a connection to source already, you're going to find this is going to be really fast, right? And a lot of judgment about yourself will start to be released as a result. So Any quick questions or thoughts? Because that is literally the time that we have to talk about a little bit of it. We're getting to February and everybody's going to be talking about Valentine's Day. And we don't have that knowledge of the various different types of love. We absolutely put it all together into one big ball and say, why do you love this way? All right. So no wonder we're in a complete pickle. Any questions? Nope. Okay. I'm going to stop the recording now.